Needle nose.
Needle nose. These small ones. So this one is the Flash Mob Junior.
This is pretty much go-to in any stained water.
Because of the blades.
Because of the blades. So stained water, and the more aggressive the fish are, you're gonna go with blades. When the bite's dead, and a lot of people put the A-rig down, the reason why they don't get bit on it is because there's too much flash. If you go over to a non-bladed A-rig, in the clear water or in a finicky bite, when you know you're throwing through them and they're just not eating it, it's because there's too much flash. So go more natural in the clear color. Do away with, don't run the blades or whatever. Top two are teasers. I like to take these stupid things off. One reason is it'll move the bait closer, it'll move the teasers closer to the actual bait and away from the baits with hooks. What happens is the fish, when they eat these, they eat the outside edges or the furthest back bait, which is why your center wire is longer, because the bass think these are a bait ball, and the fish on the outside edges or in the back are the low picking fruit. So it's not going to disturb the bait ball that they think, so another fish can come up and pick from the outside of it. When they're real aggressive, you'll feel them blow through this thing forward first, and then they'll turn around and grab it. So you all pay attention to that stuff. Owner teaser, screw locks.
The small ones.
These are the small ones because this would be, say, a spotted bass or Nossa minnow setup. Dang, dude, these things are twisted. And in doing that, we're gonna run 2.8-inch teasers with the hooks being on the 3.3s. And the reason for this setup is you're matching the hatch. And most of the lakes with spotted bass, the bait don't have a chance to get giant. So you don't want to put a big screw lock on the 2.8. Sometimes I'll run the mediums and not the smalls, but that's if I know if I'm going to run, and you're just going to thread that on there. And I'm going one too many screws at a time.
So he took the original snap locks off for the teasers.
Yeah.
So he can twist on the screw.
So those will just hang from there, just like that. And you don't need the snap locks. Some people will take the snap locks off for their hooks and use split rings or whatever. To me, if I catch more than 5 fish on one of these, it's paid for itself because it's gonna break soon anyway. You break a bunch of the wires. There's just nothing you can do about them. They all break. Like I said, if I'm gonna run these as a teaser or these as a teaser, I'll run a medium. If I'm only running this as a teaser, yeah, cause see, you can see this would almost tear it, so you don't get a whole lot of use out of a teaser on this, whereas that's a lot smaller, so it doesn't tear the bait. But the bigger bait pulls off the small teaser easy, so it's a give and take. So if you're gonna go universal, go the smaller one. If you're gonna go specific size, like I'll have 2 or 3 of these things rigged up all the time, and it's because I know a wire's gonna break soon, and I can just pick up another one and throw it on. These things to me are, I don't like chasing stuff too much, and that's one of the reasons why we stick with the Yums. They're $10. They're about the cheapest A-rig you can get. By the time you're done rigging it, it gets a little expensive, but whatever. Again, on your colors, doesn't really matter. Match the hatch. That's the biggest thing. Size is most important. I've seen Jason throw 5 curly tail worms on these things and get bit. So the other thing, this barb right here, try to make the bait match the profile. Like for spotted bass, we throw darter heads, 16th ounce to 1/4 ounce, depending on the zone you're fishing. It's cold right now, so you're fishing bottom, so go with a little bit bigger. that head right there is smaller than my base right here. So what I'll do is I'll trim that so it transitions from this to this real good. Just a pair of scissors. Look about that much off right there. That should transition my head perfectly. The major key factor with these is straight. You got to have these baits perfectly straight. You don't want any kink to them. What happens is the baits will actually make the A-rig not swim straight. It'll cause it to roll. Dab of super glue right here. Push your bait up. Now, that bait's perfectly straight. It's as simple as clicking this thing in here. So that bait's perfectly straight. Do that 3 more times. So you want to go straight side to side and straight this way. You don't want that bait to be balled up. You don't want
No kinks in the plastic.
no kinks in the plastic. If you ever throw one of these things by themselves, purposely rig one wrong and then rig them as straight as you can get it, like that. And you'll notice just by throwing it by itself that it swims completely different. Now, multiply that on a bait that weighs way more than it needs to, and you'll see, you'll actually watch, even though you want your bottom 2 hooks on the bottom, that'll keep your bait centered. And then when I'm fishing bottom, my middle weight will actually be lighter than my bottom 2, so it still helps with castability, but the bait stays vertical. In the wintertime, because you're slow crawling it in the winter. It's not like a springtime or a fall time thing where you're throwing it through a school and keeping it
Not much of a reaction.
yeah,
bite
it's not much of a reaction bite. They just
or bait.
they hit this thing more like a jig on the bottom is what they're doing. You're moving it just fast enough to make these tails kick. I mean, that's all I'm doing anyway. A lot of people give up on this way too soon just because they're not changing their cadence up through there.
So let's see how you did that with the weights. So the weights.
Okay, weights are on the bottom. This is out of the package, not bent yet. So what I'll do, I'll take my finger and I'll slide it, this notch right here in my finger, I'll slide it on that middle vein. I'll make sure the bait's vertical by looking down this, and then I just lift up on those
top two. The teasers.
Those are the teasers. So I'm just lifting up
No weight.
with no weight. Okay, so I brought them up so they're still level on parallel plane. Now I'm gonna take and I'm gonna bend them out. I want that wire to make gradual bends, because if you make a sharp bend, one fish will break it. Now I'm gonna do the same to my bottoms. I'm gonna push them out. I'm gonna go a little further on those because they're hooks and the hooks will tangle. And then I'm gonna come down on them. Now, if I'm looking dead center down that bait, these should be on plane, this should be on plane. That's what it looks like. Looks like chandelier coming through the water.
So what you need is,
And then it'll come through.
I would get the Flash Mob Junior, the smaller A-rig.
Yep.
Starting out with, I want to get one of the big ones.
What-
Definitely, if you never even fished an A-rig, don't get a big one.
This
get
would-
the smaller ones.
This would be like a Clear Lake A-rig, and you're gonna have to throw this on a swim bait rod. This you can get away on a smaller rod, which also won't wear you out, and you can cast it more.
So buy an A-rig
Flash
with,
Mob
with,
Junior,
with Flash Mob Junior with the flashes or without the flashes. Your small screw pin springs for your teasers that go on top ones, and then you're gonna get Davy darter heads. I get 1/8 inch. That's what the package looks like. They come in packages like that. The darter heads do. I got them all in my box right now. And then that's how you rig it. And then whatever baits you want, we use the 2.8s as teasers, and we use the 3.3s for the hooks and the darter heads.